Students with special needs don't really have a voice in a lot of instances. It's up to us as parents and educators to be their voice. We cannot allow our emotions to get the best of us while educating kids that might be difficult. But we also can't expect everyone to be perfect. But what we can expect is for everyone to be held accountable.
Walk in, chairs great, we don't play. Staff talk sharp like a quiz on a Monday. Whiteboard wars, yeah, we grade all day. If you can't take that heat, stay out the hallway. Hey, this is the staff room. Say it loud, say it loud. The staff room.
Let's get into it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the staff room. Listen, we have one here that's a little personal to me. For those of you who are not familiar with Samaj's Law is a law that basically mandates cameras in special needs classrooms. In this instance, we have a parent that was able to hide a camera in her son's hair because she felt that there were some things going on within the school. And lo and behold, there were some things going on. Before I get into this video, let me just say that I am a father of a child on the autism spectrum who is high functioning, and she is able to communicate, but she is still, as high functioning as she is, unable to communicate whether or not she is wronged due to it being a social disorder. I went through a school year this year where I suspected that there were some things going on within the classroom. So I leaned on the teacher, but I would have never been able to do so without my education. And families that can't afford advocates, definitely, if they're not educated in educational law, they would have never known. So this one is kind of important to me because I feel strongly about proposing this law. But you might not like what I have to say about it in the end. Let's take a look at what she says.
All right. I ordered a camera to be my son's eyes, his ears, his voice. I secretly hid the camera in his hair and sent him off to school on May 13th. And when I said I hid it, this is the camera I hid. So let's be clear.
Get off of me now. Get off of me now.
I stand before you, not just as a mother.
That enrages me. I'm not gonna lie. It enrages me. Let me also explain what my role is within a school system currently. I'm no longer a classroom teacher. I am what's called an intervention specialist. So my role is somewhat like an instructional coach. So I deal primarily with kids that are difficult in class, and I deal with their teachers in a manner that prepares them to educate those kids. So we talk about strategies, we talk about scaffolding, we talk about reinforcement, we talk about all of those things. I also am the head of an EBD unit of 6 classrooms, and I've seen things like this happen before. When this is done, I'm gonna kind of get in deep to it in depth, what it is about, because it's kind of tricky in this sense. But let's finish what she's saying here first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
But as my son's voice, Samaj Lee, and standing with me is his father, James Baker. While I will be the only one speaking today, we stand united as parents, fighting together for our son.
She's the only one speaking because dad's ready to kill somebody. I can promise you that. Dad is ready to pull somebody's head off. And the reason why I feel that way is because that's how I would feel. 100%.
That's right.
Our son has severe nonverbal autism, meaning he could not speak. People say they want the facts. What can you ask him if he cannot speak? But I can. I am his voice, and I will speak for him. We trusted his school to protect him, to care for him, and to treat him with dignity. Instead, he was harmed, silenced, and failed by the very people who were supposed to keep him safe. What I discovered on the camera footage is something no parent should ever have to see or hear. Our child was put in a situation where he was scared, overwhelmed, and powerless. And while this was happening, there was adults in the room who did nothing to stop it. This is unacceptable. So today, we are demanding accountability and change. I'm calling for a full, immediate investigation. Every teacher, every staff member who has access to my son must be interviewed. There needs to be a complete and honest review of what is happening inside these classrooms. We are demanding that the individual actually who assaulted our son be terminated immediately. And prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And not just him. Any staff member who witnessed this abuse and chose to stay silent must also be terminated. Silence is not a face of abuse, and just to be quiet and keep it going, it's you being complicity. My son has severe nonverbal autism.
All right. So I agree with everything she's saying. When dealing with kids with special needs, it's you really have to want to help them, because there's going to be instances. Let me rewind. You really have to want to help them, but you also have to be great, and you also have to be educated, and you also have to understand how to use the specific training to assist those children in those instances, because in a lot of cases, it's not what you think. So let's just kind of rewind back before I get to where we want to get to. I have been the head of a few emotional departments and a few autism spectrum departments. When I took over those departments, they were high restraints, meaning that in those instances, we are allowed to use non-invasive restraint to have the kid calm down when they're in a situation where they can't calm down. When I took over those numbers of restraints were extremely high. When you restrain a kid, you have to report it to the state. They were extremely high. I value the work that I do, and I take pride in getting those numbers down. Why? Because when you do that to kids, it causes trauma. As a professional, you have to be better at de-escalating and at preventative strategies. And I will proudly say that the 3 different units that I took over in 1 year went from either the highest to the lowest restraints, where we only had 3, to compared to 30 in the past before I took over. And one of them went from one of the highest restraints to absolutely no restraints in 3 years. And I'll pat myself on the back and my team on the back, but I just want to be clear. You don't need to restrain kids to be great at behavior, whether they're verbal or nonverbal. I've seen some things that I had to act on. And sometimes educators, we have to be better, because sometimes kids aren't just behaving. Whether they have past trauma, overstimulation, sensory issues, whatever, they could be hungry, they could be tired, like whatever. We have to be great at diagnosing those things. I would gladly say I'm one of the best at that. And I can teach others to be one of the best as well. Now, that being said, Samaj's law proposes that we get cameras in special needs classroom. I will go one above this and say Dr. Matos's law proposes that all classrooms and all schools have cameras. I'll say it again. I feel that in education and on educational campuses, all classrooms should have cameras with microphones. And I'll tell you why. Accountability. Sometimes parents need to see the things that their kids are doing when they're not at home. And that's the only way. I had an instance where the child made a very rude gesture to another child, and this child has been getting in trouble a lot. It was in the cafeteria where we have a camera. I called the child's mother. She argued with me for 20 minutes. I said, listen, Mom, I'm pretty sure I got it on camera. She assured me her child would never do it. And boom, in 4K, there he goes. Not once did I get an apology. It was, oh, I'll talk to him. Parents need to see it. Second, it will keep teachers safe, because let's say a child goes to attack a teacher. Now, I'm sorry. I might make some people upset with this, but if a child attacks a teacher, that teacher needs to defend herself. We cannot allow teachers to get punched in the face and recorded and posted on social media. It's not happening. Same thing for parents. That teacher should then be allowed to restrain that child or do whatever it takes to keep that child from continuing to attack them. Come at me in the comments if you want. I'm fine with it. Third, teachers, staff members. You're not going to like this one, but sometimes we have to look ourselves in the mirror, and having cameras in our classrooms allows teachers to reflect on their behavior. Because although the majority of teachers have a strong enough why to keep their composure in those situations, there are very weak emotional teachers that, due to the stress of their data and their annual contract or whatever it may be, just feel like they can do and say whatever they want and then lie about it. I'd be a liar if I told you that that type of thing doesn't happen. I have a great video on my channel titled the story of Mr. Brown about a teacher like this. Cameras should be in every classroom. It will keep everybody honest. I don't care how you feel about it. When it comes to kids, I need you to be able to look at yourself and say, did I handle that the right way? Did I use the correct strategy? Was he really doing this? I need parents to say, damn, my kid is actually a lot worse behaved than I thought. And I need students to say, there's a camera there. That teacher is going to show my parents. Let me make sure my stuff gets done. If you think that cameras belong in classrooms, let me know in the comments. If you don't, let me know in the comments. But please make sure you understand that placing cameras in the classroom just promotes the same accountability that we promote to our students. We need to make sure that same accountability is withheld within ourselves so that situations like Samaj's here do not happen. Staff room.
Walk in, chest great, we don't play. Staff